Hello everyone, and welcome to the premiere episode of Dreamcast, The Games That Never Were. In this series, we'll be taking a look at the many games that were in development for Sega's final console, but were cancelled for one reason or another. Of course, the cancellation of many of these titles was due to the premature discontinuation of the Dreamcast, so it will be a glimpse into the library of games the system could have had if Sega hadn't pulled the plug. A look into an alternate future, if you will. So without further ado, here is episode 1 of The Games That Never Were. Agartha is a survival horror game that was announced in 2000 by No Cliché, who are probably best known for their other Dreamcast game, Toy Commander. You may think that going from a light-hearted game like Toy Commander to a dark survival horror game is quite the leap, but the founder of No Cliché, Frederic Reynal, is no stranger to the survival horror genre. He's best known for creating the popular survival horror franchise known as Alone in the Dark. So while survival horror is new territory for the then newly formed No Cliché, it's a natural fit for Mr. Reynal. The story of the game is set in a 1929 Romanian village that was recently devastated by a landslide caused by a mysterious earthquake. The earthquake revealed an underground city called Agartha, which is a prison for evil forces. You play as the main character Kirk, and you have the option to either help save innocent people or help the evil forces escape and take over the world. Every decision you make in the game affects the story and the ultimate ending. This was a very unique concept for the time and would have added a lot of replay value. Agartha was to have a completely open world that the player could freely explore while solving puzzles and helping or hindering the residents of the town. There were VMU side quest minigames planned as well. Despite having most of the groundwork laid out for the game, it never got far enough into development to be playable. According to Mr. Reynal, the character was able to walk out into some scenery, but that's as far as the game got in terms of development. The game was officially cancelled in 2001 when Sega stopped all development activities in Europe. Take the Bullet, developed by Red Lemon Studios, was a European-exclusive light gun game that was originally slated for release on Christmas of 1999. The game is set in the 60s where you play as Jack Travis, who is a bodyguard for a US presidential candidate named Kincaid. Your job is to protect your employer from a gang called the Children of Gabriel. Very little is known about the game other than the vague storyline and a few screenshots along with an intro video, but the game was unusual in the fact that it played in a first-person style view with the gun visible to the player, and it also allowed the player full control over the character using the D-pad on the light gun. There was also an optional third-person view as well. The game was to feature a single-player campaign as well as a local 4-player split screen and 16-player online multiplayer modes. Having online play would have made this game extremely unique in its genre. In 2001, Take the Bullet was still planned for release, but that was the last time anything was heard on the game. It's rumored that a white label promotional copy of the game was released, but I'm unable to confirm this. Propeller Arena is an arcade-style flight combat game that was being developed by Sega's own AM2 division. The game is widely considered the successor to Wing Arms on the Saturn, which was also a Sega-developed flight combat game. Propeller Arena has you flying around several different areas trying to shoot down your opponents in order to get kills and move up the leaderboard. The game features very colorful graphics, an upbeat licensed soundtrack, and an announcer, all of which are very similar to the hit Sega arcade game Crazy Taxi. Even though the game bears a lot of similarities to Crazy Taxi, the game plays a lot like Quake in the Sky in the fact that it's a fast-paced arena shooter with different weapons and upgrades scattered around the map to help you. There are several different modes in the game, including Championship, Quick Battle, Training, and an online multiplayer mode which allowed up to 6 players to battle it out and trash talk each other via real-time voice chat. It would have been the first game released outside of Europe to feature true real-time voice chat, unlike Alien Front Online, which only allowed for pre-recorded voice clips. Propeller Arena was 99% complete before it was cancelled in 2001, a few days after the September 11th terrorist attacks on the US World Trade Center, citing similarities in the cover art in one of the in-game levels to the tragic event. In 2004, the game was leaked onto the internet, where it remains a very popular download for Dreamcast owners.
Oh no! You call yourself a pirate? Sheesh! 3, 2, 1.
Skies by Paradigm Entertainment was a massively multiplayer online RPG that would have been the first and only game of its genre on the Dreamcast had it been released. The game started development in 1997 for PC, but it was later announced that it would be heading to the Dreamcast as well. The game is set in the world of Menegar, which, as the title of the game suggests, is in the sky. Players would be able to freely fly around the world and explore the many floating cities and castles, and interact with thousands of other players and NPCs. Flight was to be a very important aspect of the game, which is no surprise since Paradigm Entertainment's previous game was Pilotwings 64. While exploring the in-game world, you can interact with other players, participate in quests, join factions, battle monsters, and a whole lot more. When you first created your character, you could choose between a variety of different races, such as Angel, Dragon, or Sprite, and customize them to your liking with various colors and different types of magic and abilities. One unique thing about the game is the fact that your character physically ages and becomes more experienced over time. Playing certain quests and acquiring some skills in the game required you to be of a certain age. This is something I don't believe has been implemented in any other RPG to this day, so it would have been very unique. Skies would have been a very ambitious title for the Dreamcast. It was one of a kind with its combination of RPG and flight simulator elements, and would have really pushed the online capabilities of the Dreamcast. Unfortunately, it never saw the light of day on either PC or Dreamcast. The game was presumably cancelled in 2000 when the publisher, SEGA underwent a restructuring. Shinobi, developed by Sega's own Overworks, was a hack-and-slash action-adventure game and the first game in the Shinobi series to enter the realm of 3D. In the game, you play as the protagonist Hatsuma, who is battling his way to a mysterious palace that has appeared in the heart of the city. Inside that palace is a powerful sorcerer who is bringing chaos upon the city, and Hatsuma has taken it upon himself to stop him. Shinobi leaves behind its platforming roots and focuses on fast-paced action and killing waves and waves of enemies. Your main weapon in the game is an evil sword named Akujiki, which absorbs the souls of every enemy that you kill. This sword constantly craves more souls, and you must kill enemies consistently or risk losing your own soul to the sword. If that happens, it's game over. Other than your sword, you also have shurikens, ninja magic, and several special moves. The game consists of 8 levels with a boss battle at the end of each. Most of the levels are very linear, but there's certainly no shortage of enemies. While there are some platforming elements in Shinobi, they're largely overshadowed by the hack-and-slash focus of the game. Shinobi was originally developed as a Dreamcast game, but after the discontinuation of the console, development was moved over to the PlayStation 2, where the game was released in 2002. So that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed this glimpse at what could have been for Sega's final console. From survival horror to ninjas to massively multiplayer online RPGs, the potential future of the Dreamcast was exciting to say the least. Be sure to stay tuned for the next episode where we'll explore more into the games that never were.